RNC Chairman Reince Priebus is predicting Donald Trump will lead Hillary Clinton in national polls as soon as Labor Day. But Clinton still has a sizable lead in those polls, 8 points, according to an NBC News SurveyMonkey poll out on Tuesday. And our latest CBS News Battleground tracker shows Clinton up 6 points in the swing state of Ohio, where her lead has only grown since July. Bob Cusack is the editor-in-chief of The Hill, and he's with us now from Washington. Good to see you, Bob.
Hey, Vlad, how are you?
Good, good. So listen, Priebus made this prediction in a conference call with reporters on Tuesday. Now, some people are interpreting it as a sign of optimism from the party, but it also sounds to others that Priebus is giving Trump a deadline to turn his numbers around. How do you read it?
Yeah, well, I definitely think that Priebus is trying to change the conversation. It's been a very rough month for Donald Trump, and there's been a lot of speculation that the RNC is going to invest in congressional races as opposed to the presidential post-Labor Day, or at least in October. So I think Priebus is putting Trump on message. Hey, listen, you gotta do a little better for us to spend millions and millions of dollars. At the same time, this race has to change in some respects, I think, according to Priebus's thinking, because now we're talking more about Hillary Clinton's emails and less about Donald Trump's outbursts. But of course, that can change on an hourly basis.
Right. Well, Mike Pence is already campaigning off an Associated Press story that says that more than half of Hillary Clinton's meetings at the State Department were with Clinton Foundation donors. And there's a poll out this month that finds that 61% of voters say that Hillary Clinton is just not honest and trustworthy. So this week, there's been a regime change in the Trump organization, and they've been hammering Hillary Clinton on her emails. And now this report from the Associated Press, this is so far a good week for the Trump camp.
It is, and I think that since the regime change and Paul Manafort stepping down and Kellyanne Conway becoming the campaign manager, I mean, I think that's been a good move. Trump has tried to increase his outreach to minority voters, not to say he's going to win the Latino vote, he's not going to, and he's certainly not going to win the African-American vote, but he needs to do better. And I think probably Kellyanne Conway has told Trump that you're not going to get there with just a large majority of the white vote. So I think that the trajectory of the Trump campaign has gone from disaster to workmanlike and focusing on making Hillary Clinton the story, not Donald Trump.
Well, so she's hitting back in a speech on Thursday. She's going to try and connect Trump to the alt-right movement. For people who don't know what that is, it's a conservative movement that's often tied to white nationalism. So what are you hearing about this speech?
Well, I think it's definitely part of their strategy to portray Donald Trump as extreme. I think if they use that, and they have used that alt-right, I think it's an unusual phrase. Most Americans don't know what that is. So I think they're going to have to come up with a better soundbite than that. But overall, their goal is, just like Barack Obama and Mitt Romney in 2012, portray Romney as extreme, portray Trump as extreme. Not so much as a flip-flopper, even though we've seen Trump flip his positions on a number of issues, but that he's out of the mainstream. And that's politics 101. I do think that Hillary Clinton is going to have to answer some of these questions about the email. But once again, she's got to make the story about him. Whoever wins that battle is going to win this thing.
Bob, I want to ask you, though, how baked into this election are, for example, we show those unfavorables. Both of these candidates have very high unfavorables. If you've made up your mind about Donald Trump and you don't agree with his positions on immigration and others, are you going to change your mind in these last 80 days? And if you think that Hillary Clinton is untrustworthy, are you going to change your mind? In other words, I think, does it feel to you that, and does the reporting bear out, that people have made up their minds and that battle right now is happening for that very thin line in the middle there?
I think it's a thin line, but I think it's a little thicker than most people think, because anecdotally, I know a lot of people who don't like Hillary Clinton and they don't like Donald Trump, and they don't know what they're going to do on November 8th. They don't even know if they're going to vote November 8th. So I do think that it's trying to get those people who are maybe considering Gary Johnson and making the closing arguments. Remember, we're not even at Labor Day. Most people are going to really be focusing on this in September and October, and at the first debate, September 26th. So I do think that, remember, Donald Trump, after the convention, he did get a bump, but then he just had a number of controversies, and he was basically tied, if not in the lead, against Hillary Clinton. She got a bigger bump. So politics can change very rapidly, and certainly, without a doubt, the Donald Trump campaign needs things to change very soon.
All right, Bob Cusack from The Hill, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Vlad.